Hello, investors, and welcome to yet another edition of 18 Minutes with 180 Markets. Friends, we know it is tough out there right now. We know that markets are volatile and interest rates are certainly a lot higher. And that is why here at 180 Markets, we are focusing on those companies that diversify their risk. It doesn't mean there's no risk, but have a diversified portfolio, multiple ways to win. And if any single project comes off, the share price would certainly be a multiple higher than where it is today. And that's why I'm thrilled to be joined by Pip Darvell, Managing Director of Sipa Resources, because Sipa has multiple projects, multiple ways to win. And if any of them, as I mentioned, come off, certainly the share price would be materially higher. And with that introduction, Pip, welcome to 18 Minutes with 180 Markets.
Thanks very much, Greg. Great to talk to you. And just on that risk point, that's a great point. One of the things that we like to describe ourselves as having is asymmetric risk, where there's plenty of potential upside, as you mentioned, but the way we've tried to structure the company is so that the downside is limited in what is, as you highlight, it's a risky environment.
For sure. Hey, Pip, people back people as much as projects. Can you just tell us a little bit about yourself? How did you get to where you are today?
Yeah, sure. So I'm a geologist. Studied geology in Melbourne, and even when I was doing my degree, I always found myself helping organise the field trips and so on. Ended up running a few businesses of my own, and played out my geology kind of career in a number of places around the world. Prior to joining Sipa, I was at Sipa Resources. I was the managing director there, and identified a large lithium project that and drilled a couple of programs into that and divined a big resource there, and that's gone pretty well for that company. And then moved to Sipa beginning of 2020.
Of course. And speaking of lithium, maybe a good place to start with the Sipa portfolio is at Skeleton Rocks. Can you just tell us a little bit about the project?
Yeah, sure. So Skeleton Rocks, we're drilling there literally right now, targeting lithium anomalies that we identified in an earlier program. The project's located in the goldfields area of Western Australia. It's a lot easier to access than some of the other projects we've got up north. So we're able to kind of get in and out relatively easily. And what we pegged the project for initially was gold and intrusive nickel copper, because the project's located right on a very major tectonic structure. It's the junction between two geologic terrains. And those are the great locations to look for large mineral deposits. And we've just done the early stage work. Then we did the drilling earlier this year, and now we're following up some of those anomalies literally as we speak.
Yeah, and so many questions to have on the project itself, but can you just tell us maybe, and this is for any project, you see gold there and lithium. You're a geologist. Is that normal?
Look, in many locations, it is normal. In many places, you will find pegmatites. Actually, funnily enough, further to the east where I worked around Marvel Lock, we would be drilling for gold and you'd intersect pegmatites and it'd be like, oh no, because the pegmatite was what's called stoping out the gold. It was intruding the mineralization, impeding mining, all this kind of stuff. So the pegmatites were like, oh no, this is a disaster. Nowadays, of course, people have identified, that in the pegmatites, there's the potential for lithium mineralization as well as other minerals. And so people got a lot more excited about it. And but there's a lot of very interesting places where multiple types of mineralization can be found that I've worked in. Yeah, so quite often you get more than one style in the same place.
Right. And then would that also cause people to retarget maybe areas that they went to 5, 10, 15 years ago, especially given where lithium prices are today?
100%. You'll see lots of examples on the market right now. There's a couple of companies that have done particularly well in the last 6 months that identified a project for one commodity and then discovered in their background work that, hey, there's something else here instead. And the ones I'm thinking of, they identified pegmatites in historic core and so on, and have done particularly well. So Yeah, you see this quite often.
Got it. And also, as you mentioned there, you're drilling at skeleton rocks. Can you just tell us what are you looking for precisely, and maybe a timing estimate of that?
Sure. So what we identified in our earlier drilling was a geochemical anomaly. So some samples that had lithium and other elements that are associated with pegmatites, so cesium and rubidium. So what we've done is we want to drill underneath those anomalies and alongside them to see if deeper than the previous drilling, we can start finding either pegmatites immediately or more signs of the potential for pegmatites in these rocks. So right now, we started off with a kind of nominal 10 holes to 150 meter type program, but we will just continue to adapt that as we go on. So if we're getting encouraging signs, we can go deeper. If we're getting encouraging signs, we could go either north, south, east, west. We've got all the approvals to do that. And that's one of the things about what we do. You've just got to constantly adapt.
Right. And I suppose that's where what you've done previously, those learnings, you try to use that information immediately if possible.
100%. And, it is a kind of iterative process. You learn a bit and you come back, do a bit more. But being able to kind of do that on the fly is terrific. It's not always possible because of some of the permitting requirements that we have, and say, heritage clearances and so on make it difficult in some areas. But at Skeleton Rocks, we're operating on farmland that's not currently being cropped. So that gives us flexibility. We can move 100 meters this way, 100 meters that way, if we need to. So in this particular case, we can be very adaptive.
Great. And as far as timing, right now we're filming in the end of September 2022. When should those drilling results approximately come around?
Yeah, sure. So let's say drilling takes another week to 10 days. So gets us to, call it the end of the first week in October. Then assay results probably 4 weeks after that. That's the current timetable in the lab. So I'd say early November, mid-November, something like that, for the final assay results to be returned.
Fantastic. And Pip, I got to ask then, is this, as a geologist, the most exciting time for you, where you are drilling, you do have really company type of making activity underway?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, there's all the preparation work that goes into being able to drill a hole. There's quite a lot of, permit approvals, thinking, planning, where you're going to do it. But then, it's kind of like where the rubber hits the road situation with the drilling. So, we've got the constant, pretty much live feed from the geologist on the rig. What is he seeing? What could we do next? We've got the cross sections up on the wall, scribbling with the colored pencils kind of thing constantly. And really trying to, what are we seeing? What should we do next kind of thing? It is very exciting, and hopefully, it ends up being exciting for investors as well.
Absolutely. Well, look, I'm a huge sports fan, so it's kind of like going from practice to playing the game, if you know what I mean.
Oh, 100%. And look, there's lots of great sports analogies too that, we talk about here. Like, I can't remember which golfer it's attributed to, but that one of about, people say, I'm lucky, but the more practice I do, the luckier I seem to get. So that's, we're just constantly trying to drill holes, practice, try again, and do it as efficiently as possible. And we'll have success.
Fantastic, Pip. Hey, Pip, as I mentioned in the beginning, Sipa is not a one-trick pony. Can you just, some of your other projects, maybe start out with Patterson North, if
Sure.
that suits you?
Yeah, sure. So look, as I mentioned earlier on it really comes down to the risk management kind of approach that we've got here. And you talked about a diverse portfolio of projects. So we cover a few commodities: copper, gold, lithium, and diverse locations in WA. So for example, we call the Skeleton Rocks project our cricket season project. So we can operate there in the summer months, which we can't on some of the ones up north. So you can keep news flow and activity happening. And then Patterson North's a great example too of how we can work with, in this case, Rio Tinto Exploration, work with a big partner to progress a project that we wouldn't otherwise be able to do under our own steam. So a lot of these projects, in remote locations and so on, they're very expensive to operate once you get past a certain stage. So that's why it's terrific to have a great partner like Rio on board, who can help fund the project, and also we get their technical expertise to bear on the project as well. So what we're looking for up there is big copper gold systems, similar to what they've managed to discover right next door at their Winu and Napakara discoveries. So we're right next door to the east of them, and are basically looking for similar types of deposits in similar rocks. It's all undercover there, so you've got to use a lot of different techniques to be able to target where you want to drill. And so we've been applying a lot of those in the last 2 years, including very recently, things like SkyTem and all these other crazy kind of geophysical survey names. And basically all they are is different ways of looking or trying to see through the cover at the basement rocks using magnetics, electrical techniques, and all these kinds of crazy geophysical ideas, which then allows you to poke the drill hole in exactly the right spot where you think you've got the best chance of discovering something. So that's what we've been focused on. We did quite a big drill program early this year, and the results will be flowing out of the lab over the coming weeks as those samples, move through.
Okay, so the program has already taken place, and now we're just waiting for those results to come through?
Correct, that's right.
Okay, and what was the size of that program?
We did just under 3,000 meters of RC drilling, and that was across a broad range of different targets that we had in the project area. And the targets were all designed using, basically ourselves here in Sipa, too many geologists here already, and then, the Sipa technical team as well. So, we had all the Brains Trust working on it, using all the available data, drilled these holes predominantly across probably 4 main prospects that we tested, and then we'll be seeing the results as they come through and reporting them to the market.
Fantastic. Everyone thinks about, when they think about technology, they think about high technology, but it's incredible to hear how high tech has changed mining techniques over the last even 10 years.
Yeah, look, for small explorers, there's some amazing new technology available. So a lot of people are using drones with various gadgets, strung underneath them. They've miniaturized things like seismic, which used to be very expensive for people to use. The miniaturized ground penetrating radar. We use the XRF gadget, which is, like the little mini ray gun you see, the early episodes of Star Trek and so on. Just the same, looks just the same, and that can give you a pretty good indication of what you're seeing in the rocks. And so, for example, we were using it very comprehensively at our barbed wire terrace project. We just finished drilling, and so we're using the XRF ray gun to identify pretty good concentrations of lead and zinc sulfides in that rock.
Right. And also, you mentioned earlier that, drilling in remote places can be expensive. Having a partner like Rio, which for all intents and purposes has endless amounts of cash, is that very much by design for you on how to diversify the portfolio, de-risk it, but at the same time really be able to go for it?
100%. I mean, look, you've got to be realistic, I think, as a junior explorer. And we are operating, it's a risky activity that we're involved in. So you've got to look at ways to kind of, I guess, palm off some of that risk or share that risk, and obviously some of the upside. But someone like Rio is a great partner to have, for example, in the Patterson, because they've already know a lot about the neighborhood. They've made the discoveries nearby, so they've got the knowledge. Not only that, they're very motivated to make another discovery nearby. They've already made public pronouncements about wanting to partner with others and create almost like a regional hub for development of their existing project. So they're very interested in bulking up, if you like, the discovery they've already made. And that's where hopefully someone like us can help.
Yeah, for them, certainly gives them economies of scale for sure.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. And, Pip, we also, keeping on with the gold theme, the Where Along Gold project, maybe talk about that a little bit. As I mentioned, SIPA has a lot of ways to win.
Yeah, sure. So look, this is an interesting project. When I joined SIPA in 2020, it was just as De Grey were announcing details around their discovery of Hemi, and that's turned out to be an absolutely amazing discovery, and full credit to De Grey for that. And I guess I was fascinated about it because I had previously worked on the big shear zone where De Grey's, Hemi is located. So I was the exploration manager at Atlas Iron for 5 years, and we had a deposit called Mount Dove. Mount Dove's a little high-grade iron ore deposit that sits on the same shear zone, the Tabba shear zone, that De Grey has got their gold discovery on. So you've got this big shear zone, and all the way along it, there's like gold discovery, a tin, tantalum, lithium deposit. There's an iron ore deposit. There's another gold deposit. So these big shear zones are, obviously been the focus for mineralizing fluids over a long period of time. So immediately to the east, I knew of another big shear zone called the Lallaruk shear zone. It was all open ground, so we immediately pegged that. And so we've been working on that project. It's got some iron ore deposits down to the southwest of us that I worked on when I was at Atlas Iron. And then, our theory being that as you follow this shear zone up to the northeast undercover, okay, there's a great opportunity for other deposits to be found. So we've done, a fair bit of work on that, but still fairly early stage. So we collected all the rock chip samples.
Right.
We've done 2 small air core programs, and we're just lining up to do another program, hopefully in about the next month or so, to follow up the first round of drilling, where we got a kind of a gold, silver, bismuth moly kind of anomaly at the northern end of this geophysical feature. So, there's a few things lining up there for us. So we're going to go back and test this feature a bit better. So yeah, it's pretty exciting.
Right. And then those results should come out, it sounds like over the next 90-ish days.
Yeah. So let's say that program happens mid to late October, then we'd be getting those results back probably late November, early December.
Right. You got to beat the Christmas rush.
You got to beat the Christmas rush. That's right. But look, we've been incredibly active over the last 6 months, and we've got a massive pipeline of samples. Kind of, think of the classic, the big boa constrictor with the giant bulge slowly moving through it. That's what's happening with our samples at the lab.
I can imagine they're loving you right now.
They're loving us. They're loving us. That's right. So I'm looking for that great big Christmas hamper to turn up.
Absolutely. And lastly, maybe Murchison. Can you just talk about that project a little bit?
Yeah, sure. So Murchison is, I guess, probably a more traditional WA goldfields type project. We've got, let's call it 60, 70% of the ground is held by us, 100%. And then we've got some other ground that we're farming into, and we're nearly at about 90% ownership of that ground. And what we've got there is it's centered around the mining center, or regional mining center of Meekatharra. And there's a lot of what people call hungry mills nearby, with Westgold really very active, operating some large mines, there. And so any discovery in that location has a pretty natural home, which is good. Great infrastructure, easy to get in and out of Meekatharra. So that's another kind of simpler place for us to work than some of our more remoter projects. And yeah, we did some work earlier in the year. We've got a round of new gold targets ready to drill, and the plan is to do that later after Warralong.
You really, Pip, you really do have your plate full there.
Yeah, relentless.
Yeah. And I suppose, you can't be all things to all people and everything like
Mm,
that. You
sure.
do have a project in Uganda that it's publicly out there that you're looking to divest it. Is there
Mm.
anything at this point that you can share with people?
Look, I'm happy to talk about it. Look, Sipa was in a joint venture with Rio Tinto over the Uganda project, literally up to the day that I joined Sipa. When the same day I joined, unfortunately, Rio pulled out of that project. And it's a terrific discovery. If this was located in Western Australia, it would be probably look more like Swiss cheese
Right,
than it does at the moment. But it's the kind of project that probably suits a company that's in the same kind of time zone.
right.
So Sipa Resources was interested for a while, but they've decided to focus on their graphite project. So yeah, I'd say an AIM or an LSE listed company interested in nickel copper sulfides. That would be a great project for them. It's a terrific discovery, and yeah, we're looking for a new partner to take it forward.
Excellent. Hey, Pip, unfortunately, we do have to keep the interview short. If there were a couple of thoughts about SIPA that you just want investors to really know about the business, what would they be?
I think that asymmetric risk is an important point. That
Agreed.
we have a very low market cap, low enterprise value. We're funded to complete our programs, and as you mentioned yourself, success at any of our projects would really cause a significant re-rating of the company. We are constantly moving all of the projects forward. We like to be very active explorers and are really giving it a good crack. You'll see, drilling at pretty much all the projects this year and testing them out. So we're trying to create opportunities for value creation all the time.
Excellent, Pip. Thank you very much. We certainly have a lot to look forward to over the next 6 months. It's going to be very, very active. Really appreciate your time, and we're certainly going to follow up with you.
Fantastic. Great to chat, Greg.
Bye-bye. Thanks for watching another episode of 18 Minutes with 180 Markets. And don't forget, if you want access to thousands of capital raises, sign up at 180markets.com.au and you'll get access to our very next capital raise. Thanks for watching.